Hey guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Warriors trade target emerges for $12.8 million expiring contract. DeAnthony Melton's season-ending left ACL injury will likely push the Golden State Warriors to use him as a trade chip, according to Bleacher Report's Jake Fisher. One trade candidate that perfectly fits into Melton's $12.8 million expiring salary is Toronto Raptors center Kelly Olynyk, Fisher added. The 6'11" Olynyk was on the Warriors' radar leading up to last season's trade deadline. I was told from various NBA executives around the league that Kelly Olynyk was someone the Warriors were targeting at last year's trade deadline, Fisher reported on November 22 during his Bleacher Report live stream. He would fit their system perfectly. The Jazz ultimately sent Olynyk to the Raptors at the trade deadline. Olynyk hasn't played this season, but the stretch big man is close to returning from a back strain. He was a limited participant in the Raptors' November 20 practice, Josh Lewenberg of TSN Canada reported. A former first-round pick out of Gonzaga, Olynyk averaged 9.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 4.4 assists while shooting 55.5% from the field and 38.7% from the three-point line last season, splitting time with the Raptors and the Jazz. Olynyk signed a 2-year, $26.25 million extension with the Raptors in March. Fisher also reported the Warriors could also go a different route. However, there's a lot of thought and benefit to Golden State going out and getting like a real rim runner that just adds more length, similar to what Tracy Jackson-Davis has done and added to this situation. But there's also something to be said about trying to replace the type of role that DeAnthony Melton was going to fill. Warriors coach Steve Kerr liked what Melton gave them when he started at the backcourt. In those 2 wins, Melton averaged 16.5 points on 47.8% shooting with 7.0 rebounds, 3.0 assists, and 2.0 steals as the perfect complementary to Stephen Curry in the Warriors' starting backcourt. The 6'3" Melton also made 7 three-pointers during that stretch. I feel so bad for DeAnthony, Kerr said, per NBC Sports' Monty Poole, before the Warriors beat the Hawks on November 20. He's such a perfect fit for us, and we were so excited to have him. He was clearly going to be our starter next to Steph. Melton will enter unrestricted free agency next summer again with a major health issue. Last season, he only played 38 games for the Philadelphia 76ers with a recurring back injury. Kerr mentioned 2 players who they are looking for as a long-term replacement for Melton in the starting lineup. I liked Lindy Waters in the starting lineup the other night, Kerr said. He started the last 2. He'll start tonight. Lindy's a very good player, a really good two-way player. Warriors go ice cold amid questionable calls in horrible second half versus Spurs. The Golden State Warriors have let slip a 17-point late third-quarter lead to suffer their 4th defeat of the season against the San Antonio Spurs at Frost Bank Center on Saturday. A Kevin Looney layup extended the Warrior advantage to 17 with just over 2 minutes remaining, but scored just 13 points for the remainder of the game as the Spurs completely took control in a dominant fourth quarter. A combination of factors were at play in what resulted as 40-13 run over the final 14 minutes of the game. San Antonio undoubtedly lifted their intensity against a Golden State team playing their 3rd game in 4 nights, hustling for some huge offensive rebounds and causing turnovers while finally starting to hit some shots from beyond the arc. They were also aided by some questionable refereeing calls, including a sequence early in the fourth quarter where Victor Wembanyama seemingly fouled Tracy Jackson-Davis and goaltended Moses Moody's putback attempt, only for neither to be called before Kyle Anderson was penalized for a transition take foul. The Warriors were still leading by 7 at that point, with the Spurs taking full toll of perhaps a friendly home court whistle. Regardless, Golden State simply weren't good enough to push back against a barrage of momentum. Stephen Curry was well blanketed by rookie Stephon Castle and the rest of the Spurs defense, with the 2x MVP finishing with just 14 points on 5 of 16 shooting and 3 of 10 from three-point range. Andrew Wiggins continued his impressive form with 15 first-half points, but once he cooled off in the second half, the Warriors had very little else to turn to. Golden State shot just 37.9% from the line and 31.8% from three-point range, with the absence of Jonathan Kuminga due to illness not helping the team's offensive struggles. Buddy Hield made his first 3 triples on his way to 11 points by early in the second quarter, yet failed to add any more as the Warrior bench failed to come to the party. Brandon Podziemski went scoreless and was a team-low -14, while fellow youngster Moses Moody shot 2 of 8 from the floor and was a -13. Tracy Jackson-Davis, 12, and Lindy Waters 3, 11, joined Wiggins, 20, and Curry in double-figure scoring, but the Warriors went ice-cold in scoring just 4 points in nearly 7 minutes to close the game. The Warriors have now surrendered an outright hold on top spot of the Western Conference and will now look to bounce back at home against the Brooklyn Nets on Monday. Sharpshooter giving perfectly timed audition as potential Warriors trade target. With DeAnthony Melton suffering a season-ending ACL injury, the Golden State Warriors are once again a major talking point in trade discussions amid their strong 12-3 start to the season. The Warriors have started Lindy Waters 3 at the shooting guard position over the past 4 games, but there's a sense that the team still needs to find an upgrade in that spot, potentially via trade and using Melton's $12.8 million salary. One name that has gathered traction among the Golden State fanbase is Cam Johnson, with the Brooklyn Nets forward set to be one of the hottest commodities ahead of the February 6 trade deadline. Johnson isn't necessarily a star by any means, but he has been playing like it over recent games. The 28-year-old has given a perfectly timed audition to the Warriors and other potential trade suitors, going for 34 and 37 points over Brooklyn's last 2 games against the Charlotte Hornets and Philadelphia 76ers. Johnson went 6 of 12 from three-point range against Charlotte and 9 of 13 from deep in Philadelphia, giving him 15 made threes on 27 attempts in the space of 2 games. The 6 feet 8 inches forward is now averaging a career-high 19.3 points along with 4.1 rebounds and 2.9 assists per game, having shot 42.3% from three-point range on 8.1 attempts per game. The former 10th overall pick could take a role in the starting lineup, pushing Andrew Wiggins to the shooting guard spot in a bigger opening 5 that would retain 3 40+% three-point shooters in Stephen Curry, Johnson, and Wiggins. Trading for Johnson would be somewhat difficult given he makes $23.6 million this season, not to mention Golden State would be committing to more long-term money as the Nets forward still has $45.1 million left on his contract over the next 2 years. Melton's salary gets them over halfway there, but the Nets would have to be incentivized by something fairly significant. Perhaps the Warriors would be willing to put Jonathan Kuminga on the table, especially if they think paying Johnson is more valuable than re-signing their former 7th overall pick on a bigger contract in restricted free agency. That would still leave Golden State just short in salary, meaning they may also have to sacrifice Gary Payton II or Kevin Looney, potentially getting another cheaper player alongside Johnson in return. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Cam Johnson? Leave your opinion in the comments.